We're with Demon football coach Jay Thomas, whose team stays in state this week to go down to Baton Rouge to play the Southern Jaguars after going to visit one of the best teams in the country. We knew it going in, and there's no doubt coming out, the number 10 ranked Baylor Bears, who will no doubt go up in the rankings this week after last week's game. And Coach, you got some interesting advice on the way home from some people you respect, fellow coaches, and saying, burn that tape. Don't show that tape to your team. And that's not how you see it, is it?
No, I think it's something that we need to learn from. And it, even though the score didn't indicate, how our guys played, and really we had a lot of tremendous individual efforts. I thought the team as a whole played really hard, and so it was something for us that we needed to come back, we needed to look at, we needed to learn from. It's just going to make us a better team.
Let's talk about some of those guys individually who impressed you after you watched the game tape and having watched it from the sideline.
Well, from the defensive side, I thought that Damon Medcafe played really well on the inside. When you're looking at guys that are, typically we don't normally line up on, 6'5" and 6'6" and 300+ guys, and really played the double teams well. And then thought Deion Simon had one of his best games too, really pushed on the offensive lineman, pushed to the backfield. I thought that that helped our defense defend the run pretty well for most of the night. Late in the game we got some stuff on us, but did really, really well there. And led, Baylor led the Big 12 in rushing last year, so that's a little feather in their hat. And then I thought Wilbur Myers and a number of other guys were there, Sellers. Man, Tyler Roussel, defense, I thought Chase Collins played extremely hard too. I think all the guys gave great effort, but those are some of the guys that really stood out and made some really, really nice plays.
And defensively, Baylor had 16 third downs. Now, they converted 12 of them, but the point is they had 16 third downs, and a lot of those were third and longs. That illustrates that your run defense in particular was pretty effective.
That's right, and won that battle. We really did. Where we lost the battles were the deep balls, and but that is, like I said, that's something to build off of. For our defense, you can go against the top-ranked offense and be able to defend the run the way we did. So, very proud of our guys to go over there and line up again, in that environment, and play those guys. Very proud of their effort, and I think we'll get better. We had a lot of young guys again playing too, so valuable experience there as well. On the offensive side, going back through watching our offensive line go against their defense is really, really fast, very big up front, very mobile. I thought we did a heck of a job, really did. Offensive line hung in there and battled. We create some run seams and got a few passes, So heck, the one play that got picked off at the beginning, there was a big momentum switch right there. But Ed had a great job going up, and the guy just made a great play getting the ball out, But I thought that Ed Egan played tremendously well, and our kicking game was very solid. Our return game, I think Ed has moved up to number 8 in the nation in kickoff returns. Had a lot of yards all purpose, but Ed's a talented guy, but we got a lot of really good guys out there that are working for him too, and making it happen.
The deep ball, obviously Baylor had many of those on Saturday night, and Missouri State had some in game 1. So what is the issue back there, and how concerned are you about the ability to get it fixed quickly?
It's not a concern, but it's something we need to get fixed and we need to correct. We got talented guys. We got to go back as a staff and look at it and say, hey, what do we need to do to help our guys out a little bit more here? We went through a lot of different practice styles last week to get ready for the up-tempo. They snapped the ball every 12 seconds. So we went with one word that would mean the front, the blitz, the coverage, for the game. And it's first time for me to do that. Usually we call the front and then the coverage too. So wanted to give it a try. This is the way the world has gone now in college football and the NFL, because of all the hurry-up stuff that you're getting. Just one-word tags. So we tried. We did really, really well, but we got out of whack a few times. coverage-wise. And then, of course, we got to put our guys in a little bit better positions, and that's something the coaching staff we need to do.
The old line is that you make your most improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
In a game like Baylor, it's certainly tough for outsiders to see that improvement. But as coaches during last week and with the performances in that game, did you see a big improvement?
We went in it, and look at Baylor's defensive end, the 6'9", 265 guy. He was really a non-factor. In the first game against SMU, he lived in their backfield. So that says something about our guys, keeping him, at bay and not allow him to make plays. So we really did a really good job. Really did. Create some nice run lanes in there. So yes, it's hard for the fans to see it, but we're, as coaches, and we still have the Missouri State game in our mind, and comparing it to the Baylor game. We made, it might not have been a big step, but we made a step, and but we made bigger steps in other areas, like our conditioning, our playing condition is much better than it was a week and a half ago. So many areas we got better. We got to get, and whatever we got to get better in is the scoreboard.
All right, now you play an FCS opponent, a team that you played last year in Southern, a team that won the SWAC last year after a crushing loss up here. First, let's deal with last year's game and how that could impact this year's game. Obviously, Southern remembers last year's game with a great deal of frustration, and obviously some of your players might remember last year's game, and certainly our fans will, and say, oh, you ought to beat Southern.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, the ball bounced our way, that game. We ended up with the field position. Our guys played really well, came out on fire. So early in the game, I remember it being the field position war that we won, and we were able to get up. Southern went on, I think, after our game, didn't lose a game, from what I can remember, and SWAC champions. So we knew they had a really good football team. Coach Odom and staff, they do a fantastic job. They've gotten off to a pretty fast start this year too, which is expected. And very talented group. We're plowing through film right now, but I know we can expect their best shot. And obviously them coming up, last year, and it might have been the motivation for them to go on, because they played really, really well through the early part of the season against Houston coming into the game last year. And they have this year too. So very talented team across the board. Defensively, always very physical, can run, can tackle very well, very good on the back end coverage-wise. Offensively, very good in the offensive line, very physical. Quarterbacks very mobile. Great job of throwing the football. So, and a really good group of receivers too. So it's going to be a challenge for us to go to Baton Rouge and play in that environment there. It's always fun. It's always lively. It's a great place to go and watch a game and hang out. So, our guys, we'll be ready to go.
What do you see in terms of the tradition of this series? NSU Southern played 12 times. This will be the 12th meeting. You've been to Southern as a head coach, and as you say, you're familiar with the atmosphere and the scene there in a tough environment.
Yeah.
How much value does a game like this have, not only because it's the third game of the season and it's against the FCS opponent, but because it's Northwestern and Southern?
Oh, it's huge. It's a large price tag on this game. It's something that it's rivals, in-state rivals, and it was proof in it last year. Coming up here and all of the fans showing up early and the tailgating and packed stadium, and it's so just a great event, great venue, great game between two great universities, and it's fun to be part of it, and I don't see it any different this weekend.
All right, things your team needs to do to win this game.
I tell you what, we'll definitely have to run the football and try to control the clock. Defensively, we're going to have to try to control a bunch of really, really talented players across the board. Talented quarterbacks that can hurt you running and throwing. Good running backs, very shifty. They can come in with the power game, so you got to be able to play the power game, and then you got to be able to defend the spread offense. So, you know, we got to get better. Like you said, we got to get better at defending the deep ball. And then, of course, offense, control the clock, run the football, and make plays when we need to make plays.
We're with senior quarterback Zack Adkins. The Demons coming off the Baylor game, getting ready for Southern in Baton Rouge. Zack, there's a lot of people who would say you just got crushed by the number 10 ranked team in the country. There's no value in that game. You guys got nothing out of that game. That's not the case, is it?
No, I think we did some good things. The score don't show it, but on film when we watch it, we see some good things that our team did on offense, defense, and special teams. And it was a great experience for us playing in that stadium and with that crowd and just playing a great team like that. It was a good experience for us.
Offensively, you guys sustained some drives, were in the red zone, didn't get into the end zone, but by the same token, made some plays against a team that gave up nothing the previous week against SMU. So from a confidence standpoint, taking away the final score, there's a lot you guys feel good about walking away.
Yeah, there's definitely some good things. On the outside, our receivers made some good plays. Our offensive line did a pretty good job for them bringing all that heat and having such a good D-line up front with the 6'9" D in, and then like what I heard from their D tackles, like a set record for powerlifting and stuff.
So personally, after the game, I'm sitting in the press box listening to Coach Briles, and he starts talking about how good you were. How does that make you feel?
That's a great compliment from him. Like, and say I didn't expect that to hear that, but it's a great feeling to hear that.
All right, now let's turn the page and go to the Southern Jaguars. Here's another one of those assumptions. The Demons pounded the Jaguars last year here. So it ought to be an easy game for the Demons in Baton Rouge on Saturday night. Not the case, is it?
Oh, definitely not. It's never an easy game, any game, no matter who your opponent is, especially going into their environment. I hear it's a great environment, they got great fans, a great crowd every year. So we got to go down there. We got to work hard, really hard this week to get prepared to go down there and play a great game.
That's a team that won the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship last year, a team that has established a winning culture. So, as you say, playing in their place is going to be a challenge. Offensively, for the Demons, what are the things you guys need to get on track to succeed on Saturday night?
We just got to go finish our drives this week. No left points on the board, no kicking field goals. We need to get touchdowns every time we get close. All
right. From the passing game perspective, what were things that you saw get better over the previous week, and what are things you see that need to get better this week?
I think we just need to get a little bit more attention to detail on our little things, just little things always, and that will take us to the next level and make us a better team.
Okay, your team's 0-2. Is there any sense of panic, or do you see the improvement that you guys made from week 1 to week 2?
I've seen improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I'm ready to see more improvement this week, so we're ready to get out there and show what we can do this coming week.
Well, Damon Medcafe, senior defensive tackle and a guy who had a fantastic performance Saturday against the Baylor Bears. Damon, let's talk about that game first of all before we talk about this week's game against Southern. You guys held your own and then some inside. Talk about how intense that game was for you guys in the interior of the defensive line.
It was real intense because, that's the first time we played against dudes that size. We don't normally play against people like that, but Coach T and Coach Landau, they did a heck of a job this week, or this past week, teaching us and explaining to us exactly, how they wanted us to play the double teams. And, when we went into the game, we just knew that it was going to be a long physical game. But, we knew before the game that we had to be able to hold on. I think we did a good job.
Okay, for the outsider, they look at the final score 70-6 and say, why'd they play that game? They're not getting anything out of that game. What did you get out of that game?
First, you get the experience, because it's always exciting playing on that level, in front of that many people. And, another thing, it helps you in the long run when you play in conference games with guys that aren't, 6'6", 310 pounds. It helps with that a lot.
And then personally, having played as well as you did in that game, it's got to help you confidence-wise, knowing if I can go against these guys and win my battles, then the rest of the year I've got a great chance to be successful, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there anything that you are telling people about the way you played that game that makes you feel really good?
Not really. I just went out there and did what the coaches asked me to do. I've always been a team guy, and if my job is to take on 3 people every game, I have no problem doing it.
Okay, now let's talk about the Southern Jaguars. the defending SWAC champions. They'll be at home in Baton Rouge. Talk about the challenges of this game.
You know, this is a huge challenge because these guys are coming with a chip on their shoulder from last year. You know, they're going to be hungry just like we're hungry. And, you know, we just got to go out there and be really confident, you know, play like we know we can play. And, you know, don't let the atmosphere, you know, get to us. And, you know, we just got to really play like we can play.
All right. The rivalry between Northwestern and Southern has some history to it, two in-state schools. How much will the hype, so to speak, with people talking during the week impact you guys going into Saturday night?
You know, we just can't let that get to us, you know, because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you guys beat Southern bad last year, but we just can't let that get to our head. You know, we got to go in there. We can't take these boys lightly because, like I said, they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. And, you know, they're the defending SWAC champions, so, you know, they're just as good as us. You know, if we go out there and take them light, you know, it'll be a long game for us.